What up, everyone? Here to do a weekly overview for this coming up week, March 6th through the 10th. So I'm going to jump right into it. Like always, first, I like to jump and look right at the econ calendar and the ER calendar for the week. And obviously, this week, what stands out is we have Jerome Powell speaking on Tuesday and Wednesday. So those are going to be big market movers and something to keep an eye on, especially since he's speaking during market hours. So those are the big things I'm looking at here. And then on the econ calendar, we don't have as many big names, but we do have C, CrowdStrike, um, DocuSign, a couple to be watching out for. So jumping straight into the charts, first thing I always do is I try to see what the expected move is for the week. And I do this just to be realistic of where we can possibly go. And here last week, pretty much everything stayed within the first standard deviation and two of them within the second standard deviation. So as expected, it stayed within our expected moves. So this week, our expected moves are between 412 to 396 on SPY. And then the two standard deviations is 419 to 388. So those are the areas I'm going to be watching for SPY and expecting us to stay within. Jump into the charts. Last 2 days, we've had a pretty nice days and a pretty nice bounce off this 393 area. So first, and now we're back above this 400. So for SPY, I'm watching this 400 as a key area support. Below that, we do have this little gap that got created. So we could see the next support is 397, then 393 down to this 390, 388. Resistance, I'm watching 405, 408 area, then this 410, 411 as resistance on SPY. Next, we have QQQ. QQQ broke back above 300. So I'm using this area, this 300, 299 as support. Same here, we created a little gap up on Friday. We had volume come in on these nice green candles, so that's good to see. But if we break below here, we're sitting right at 300. If we break below, I'm watching this 295 for this gap fill and potentially now this 290 to 288 as support. And then on the upside, we have this upside gap. So I'd be looking for us if we break above to fill this gap and then resistance at 303, then it's like 308, 310, and then next would be 312. Next, we have IWM. IWM broke out of this flag pretty nicely here and bounced off this 187, which has been a strong support. Now we're back above 190. So this 190 is my new support. Below that, I have 187, which is held up pretty strong. Resistance, I have 290, 190, 250 area, and then 195 that I'll be keeping an eye on. Especially with Powell speaking on Tuesday and Wednesday, I am expecting Monday to be kind of choppy. So I'm not keeping high expectations and for a lot of volatility in the market. So that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on out. So jumping into Apple. Apple, same here. We broke above this 149, 150 area, which has been a key area. So I'm looking for us to hold above this 150, 149. If we do not, and we break through, I'll be looking down to this 145, 144 support. If we are able to hold, I'm gonna look for a pullback for a retest of 150, 149, and then potentially push up to this little gap at 153 to 154 as resistance, and then this 157.50, which is a really big resistance recently on Apple. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on here. Next, I have AMD. AMD, same here. I'm watching the 78.80 area as support. We had a nice break above it. So I'm seeing if we get a pullback to this area. And if we do, I'll look for opportunity. If we break below this 78 area, I'll be looking for this gap to get filled down to the 75 support. If we're able to hold above 80, I'm gonna be watching this 83, 84 area as resistance up to this about 86. So I'm keeping an eye on there. Next, I have BA. BA has been pretty strong the last couple days. We've had a nice push up, and then switching down to the hourly. I'm looking for a potential cup and handle forming on BA. So this 218 area to 220 has been a strong resistance. So we could potentially be looking up to there or rejecting here and coming back down to this 210 to 08 area, which I'll be looking for like this bull flag forming on the 4 hour or the 1 hour time frame for potential calls. Next, I have Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola starting on the weekly. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. It's forming this inverse head and shoulders here. And we had a really nice push on the last couple of days to form this. So we're holding this support that was created. And going down to the daily, still we have this like wedge forming here. We're holding this $59 area demand pretty well. We had a strong push, we have an inside day, and then looking at on the 1 hour, we kind of have a little bull flag forming. So I'm looking to hold above this 59.30 area. If we're able to hold above this, my next resistance would be $60. And then after that, like 60.50, and then basically $1 up all the way after that. But I think it's holding pretty strong, especially on the daily and the weekly time frame. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on here. Next, we have Meta. Um, Meta, I'm watching for two different things. I'm going to keep this one pretty simple. I'm watching for a potential rejection of this 195 area, which can form a double top right here, but before rejecting, we do have a lot of gaps to the downside. And then vice versa, I'm watching for a pullback down to this 180 area, which we could potentially flag into, which would be a nice area for support and calls. So that's the two areas I'm watching on Meta. Next, Microsoft. Microsoft, we're sitting right at this 255 area, and this 255 has been a pretty key area. Either the last time we were here and it was support, we bounced pretty hard, and then the other times we're here, we rejected pretty hard and came down. So I'm looking for a potential move here. So I'm looking at, if we could break below 255, I'm looking at 250 to 248 as support. If we're able to hold above 255, we could look at 255 and pushing up into this gap into the 260s. And then my bigger resistance would be this 264 area. Next, we have SQ. SQ on the weekly. Zoom in a little bit. It's forming this like bull flag. So it is something I'm watching on the weekly. Oh, there we go. And zooming in on the daily. I'm looking for a pullback, potentially this $2 to $80, $78 area for potential calls. And then my bigger resistance on here would be this 83.50 to 84, and then I push it up all the way to this $90 area. So if we break below here, my support would be about this 270 or the 75, 74 area. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on for SQ. And then now Tesla. Tesla on the weekly, we're been consolidating. You see us consolidating right here. We're kind of just sitting between this like 210 to 185, 190 area. So that's what I'm watching for on Tesla, is a potential break of that. So I'm just going to use basic support and resistance here. I'm watching this 190 to 188 area. Below that, we'd have 185 and then 180. Above, I'm watching this 200, and then next resistance would be this 208 area, then about this 214 to 215 area. If we're able to break out of this, we couldn't see a strong push, and then vice versa. If we're unable to, and we lose this support area around this 285 to 185, 180, we can see a lot of downside. So we've just been kind of consolidating. So I'm expecting a big move to come eventually soon with Tesla. Those are what I'm keeping an eye on. Jerome Powell is speaking this week, so I think that's the big thing to watch out for. Protect your capital and be smart about what you're doing in trading, and understand that it's going to be a volatile week potentially. So everyone trade safe and let's crush it.